So History by Mail was kind enough to send us 2 of their monthly subscriptions for free. And so we are going to be opening up the second one today. If you'd like to order History by Mail, use my link with my discount code SMITH10 to get 10% off your first order. So the kids and I just completed our second letter from History by Mail, and they really liked it. I took some clips of us reading through it and stuff. So basically how they structure it, they will send you a historical document, a lot of times in the actual handwriting that it was written in, so you can see it as is. If it's kind of hard to read, then they'll give you like an official transcript of what was said in it too, just so you kind of know. So I like that. You don't have to kind of try to decode everything yourself if it's really difficult. And then they will also send you kind of the context, like the historical backdrop that all of this is happening against, and kind of the story that goes along with it as well.
I wonder what it is.
I don't know. The last one was really cool, huh?
Yeah. It's about a D-Day dress platoon.
Oh, nice. D-Day.
Yes.
So that's what they would have worn, the platoon leaders, on D-Day when they stormed the beaches of Normandy.
What's D-Day?
Very good question. I wonder if there's anything included in there that tells us about D-Day. Elijah, do you want to see if there's something that talks about D-Day?
I think maybe this is it. The eyes of the world are upon you. The hopes and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you. In company with our brave allies and brothers in arms on the fronts, you will bring out the destruction of the German war machine, the elimination of the Nazi tyranny over the oppressed peoples of Europe, and security for ourselves in a free world.
So along with the sketch of the platoon leaders' uniforms and equipment, we also received this order of the day that was sent out by General Dwight D. Eisenhower actually on D-Day to all of the platoon leaders. So it was cool to be able to see what it was that he actually said to them on this momentous day in history.
Good luck, and let us all beseech the blessing of Almighty God upon this great and noble undertaking.
Very nice. Okay, what's on the last page there? So this is our explanation of the other sheet that we have in there. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, the commander of the Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force, issued this order of the day that Elijah read to us to U.S. military personnel taking part in the D-Day invasion in Normandy. So they're the ones that got that letter saying, this is what we're going to go do, guys. So they were boarding ships that were going across the English Channel, and that's what they got when they were boarding.
Imagine actually being a part of D-Day, and you're one of the people who lived.
Right? Yeah, that's exactly what we want to do when we're reading stuff like this, is think like this actually happened and try to put ourselves in the shoes of those people who were facing it at the time. I'm sure it was really scary, honestly, not knowing how many of the enemy forces were going to be there meeting you on that beach.
Especially with being with the Nazis, because after all, they defeated a lot of people and captured them. The Nazis were very, very powerful at that time.
Yeah. So today we were reading about D-Day, and it actually sparked a lot of interest in our kids. We're officially on our summer break now. So I really like having these and still being able to have sort of some history that they're talking about. And like I said, it just sparking that interest in them. I don't know if you heard or if I'm going to be able to include it in the edits, but there were several times when the kids would bring up like how scary it would be if you were there, or just like thinking through the eyes of the actual people who experienced it. And I absolutely love when something kind of like brings history to life for my kids like that. Also enclosed is a drawing by combat historian Lieutenant Jack Shea of the 29th Infantry Division, depicting the equipment that platoon leaders carried to prepare for the amphibious attack. So amphibious, we just learned about amphibians in school. What are amphibians?
So they can be frogs and toads.
Yeah, so where do they live?
In the water.
In the water and
The land.
on land. So an amphibious attack, what it means by that is that it's by sea and by land both. Right now, we're on summer break, and normally during summer break, we don't have any history to do whatsoever. We might do like some practice with math, and I definitely have them continue reading any of their free reads that they're working on. But as far as history, we never have anything to do. So this would even be really perfect if you're just wanting some history that's nice and simple. It took us, I think, about 20 minutes to a half hour total to kind of go through everything. A lot of that was just because of the extra conversations that were sparked. So it's not very time consuming. It just comes once a month, but I like keeping the love for history alive. I do just want to go ahead and warn you that we get into some pretty heavy topics of conversation. So if you're someone who is bothered by things like that, then this might be kind of a good place to either stop or skip to the next section. I'll try to have those labeled down in the description box below.
Were the Nazis the people who wanted to kill the Christians?
The Jews. Yeah, so they would round up the Jews and take them to concentration camps. It wasn't just Jews, but that's mainly who was targeted. So when it says liberate, what does that mean?
Free.
Yeah, to free them. Okay, so the Nazi powers had come in and started taking over all these places, and so the Allied powers that the U.S. was a part of, we're going to go in and try to free these people. Okay.
That was probably really scary for those people because,
Sure.
like, they were probably really scared because they could die like any second.
Yeah, exactly.
But at least they would die in the war that they were fighting for.
You guys know how much I absolutely adore the different conversations that are sparked in our homeschool, and these history by mail letters have definitely done that for our kids. They were asking so many different questions, just really trying to kind of grasp the full picture, which was perfect. That's where they think is going to be easiest for them to go ahead and land. So Normandy, you guys already know a bit about. Normandy is now part of France. And it was once where the Normans came from, like the little Duke or William the Conqueror. Over 1 million Allied troops from 39 divisions took part in the Battle of Normandy from Britain, the US, Canada, Poland, and France.
Were the Nazis the one who lived in Normandy?
They had invaded there. They had taken over lots of different parts in Europe. So they were originally from Germany, but they started spreading out and taking over more and more and more of Europe.
Just taking people's homes, basically?
Gaining power there. So they would go in with their troops, and they would be then in charge of that area and that region. We're in power here now. Does that make sense? Okay.
But just imagine all those people that they killed when they were born.
Sure, and even worse in the concentration camps. The concentration camps were where there was the majority of death happening.
There's one story of when the Allied forces made it to a camp. There was one where everybody there had been dead, and the Nazis had fled because they knew from the Philippines, which were near them, that the Allied forces were coming. So they just killed everybody there brutally and fled.
Awful. Absolutely horrific.
Mom, wasn't Corrie ten Boom one of the ones in a concentration camp?
Yes, very good. Corrie ten Boom and her sister Betsy and her
died
father, they were all in concentration camps.
Betsy die there? Didn't Betsy die there?
Betsy did die there. Yes, she did. I've said this in other videos before, but when I was younger, I absolutely hated history. And I don't know if it was just because like the way that it was taught to me by the specific teachers that I had or what it was, but I used to hate history when I was younger. It felt pointless, like it was just like a bunch of dates and facts and whatever. And now, like being a homeschool mom, history is one of my absolute favorite subjects to do with them. I have so enjoyed history. And so I'm always looking like for things like this to help kind of bring history alive. We are Charlotte Mason homeschoolers. We love living books. I love for them to feel like they are immersed in the situation and looking through the eyes of the people during that time. And that was definitely something that was sparked with this history by mail letter. The first phase, establishing a secure foothold from the sea, was called Operation Neptune, because Neptune was like god of the sea, you know. This is an area of history that none of our kids have actually made it to yet. We've talked some about Corrie ten Boom because we had read parts of her book, The Hiding Place, and we have a missionary book that's all about Corrie ten Boom. So the kids know some about this era, mainly just because of that. We've also read Number of the Stars together before, just because I didn't want them to not know anything about it yet at all. But we haven't actually made it to this portion in history yet and studying in depth, so it's nice to see them be able to make different connections with things that we've read about before and kind of bringing that time period all together, even though they don't have a solid timeline for it yet. And ground cover was replaced with barbed wire and traps to make the ground hazardous for enemy soldiers. So that's all things that, yes, that's all things that the Germans did. So the Nazis, the Axis powers, they were the ones doing all of that to prepare for the Allied troops to get there.
Did they put it on the beach where they were coming?
Here's how we're wrapping up the Battle of Normandy. It's officially D-Day. The invasion was planned for a full moon to provide enough light for pilots and the highest tides for watercraft. After extensive planning, the Battle of Normandy began with 156,000 Allied soldiers.
So they could only fight on a night where the whole moon was showing?
Well, they decided to. They decided that that would give them the best advantage so that the people who were driving the boats and driving the aircraft could see well by the light of the moon because there'd be more light. And also the tides of the ocean change with the moon. So they're highest when it's a full moon. So,
Which would give them a better advantage.
yes. All right, so there's 156,000 of the Allied soldiers landing on 5 beaches along a 50-mile stretch in northern France. However, at Omaha Beach, there was heavy resistance with more than 2,000 U.S. casualties. Normally when people think of D-Day, that's what they end up thinking about is what happened on Omaha Beach. Yet, by the end of the day, Allied forces controlled 80 square miles of French coast. Hitler initially thought the invasion was a distraction from a real attack on the Seine River and delayed calling for reinforcements. Meanwhile, Allied air raids had destroyed key bridges, causing massive delays for German troops.
That wasn't the smartest, not deciding to call in reinforcements.
Right, not a good move on his part. On May 8th, Victory in Europe Day, the Allies accepted the Nazis' unconditional surrender.
How is that? The time's going backward.
But it's the next year.
Oh my gosh, that took a long time.
Yeah, so the invasion of the Allied powers started June 6th, and then, May 8th was the victory the following year.
Actually, that was pretty fast.
Yeah. The Allies accepted the Nazis' unconditional surrender. D-Day initiated the Battle of Normandy, which allowed the Allies to gain a secure foothold in mainland Europe, from which the Axis forces were ultimately defeated.
Go America!
And it wasn't just the Americans, it was the British too.
So they go Allied forces!
Yes,
Go
Allies! The invasion was both a major psychological and military blow to the Axis powers, and is considered the beginning of the end of the European front of World War II.
Oh, that was World War II?
Yes, that was a part of World War II. So that is the end of this, and it's very cool.
Mom, it makes me think of National Geographic.
Yeah, how you guys watch the World War II stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
can we watch that?
Wow, can we?
After I turned the camera off, the girls wanted to see like pictures from concentration camps. So I was able to show them kind of the atrocities of what had happened. The boys decided that they wanted to turn on National Geographic and watch one of like the documentaries about World War II. So it just kind of like brings history to life. On the website for History by Mail, you'll see that there are several different subscription options. All of them are really affordable. You can also just find out a lot more about them by going to their website if you want to just kind of learn more and see if it would be a good fit for your family. They even have other resources too if you're not interested in the subscription necessarily, so I highly recommend that you check them out. The other one that we had gotten before our first one was about Annie Oakley, which was really fun because we happened to open it on the same day when Annie Oakley was actually mentioned in Arwen's geography lessons. Like she was learning about like different states in the United States this year. And the one that we were on mentioned Annie Oakley. And it was, like I said, the exact day that we ended up opening the other letter. And so it was just a nice little connection that was made, and she got to hear more about Annie Oakley and see her handwriting and learn about her. So that was a lot of fun as well. So if you are interested in getting a history by mail, I will put my link for you down in the description box. And there will also be a discount code with my link. If you use mine, then you get, I believe, 10% off. Let me just double check that before I just go saying that in a video. Yes, 10% off. So if you use my link with my discount code Smith10, then you will get 10% off of your order of history by mail. And if you're a history nerd like me, you're gonna absolutely love it. All right, guys, but that is all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye. Every time I see you reply, maybe it's too late if you're seeing someone else, but oh my gosh, I did it again. I keep wanting to show my address. Why am I this way? I don't want y'all to see my address. I'm sure that you're all lovely people.